Always trust.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to
The home of football's world governing body in Zurich. FIFA runs the world's most important sport, representing 209 national associations. It's not just sport, it's business. Last year's accounts showed they had over $1 billion in reserve. But controversy has not been far from FIFA's corridors. After a corruption scandal erupted in 2010, FIFA has faced a difficult road to 3 World Cups. Qatar 2022, Russia 2018, and this year, Brazil. Sepp Blatter is the president of FIFA, but the man at the sharp end has been Secretary General Jerome Valcke. The Frenchman has taken a tough line on Brazil and is a key decision maker at FIFA. From a background as a journalist and television sports executive, he was appointed Secretary General in 2007, meaning he's operated during the most turbulent period of FIFA's history. Thank you, Mr. Valcke, for talking to Al Jazeera. Now, FIFA has 3 World Cups coming up in Brazil, and then in Russia, and then in Qatar, of course. All have had their own areas of concern. This must be an incredibly busy time for you.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, we have 3, and it's the first time ever that FIFA had to work on 3 World Cups. But now, just to be clear, we are focusing on Brazil because we cannot look at Russia when we have so much to do in Brazil, and it's our responsibility to make sure that Brazil will be a great World Cup. So yes, we are working on Russia, and they are doing quite well, but that's something we can talk later about. We are working a bit on Qatar, but Qatar is in 2022, and you know what are the main issues we are working on for Qatar. So the main concern today is to make sure that Brazil will be a great success.
Will Brazil be ready?
Will Brazil be a great success? For sure. It will be, because there is no other choice. Brazil has to be ready. There is also no other choice. I mean, we have to make sure that all is ready. Does it mean that all will be perfect? That's not the point. Does it mean that all what has been said will be ready on time? That's not the point. The point is to make sure that whatever we need to stage the World Cup will be there, not only for you, the media, for the fans, for the teams, and for all the officials.
But on one hand, you need to be diplomatic, and you are reassuring people who are travelling to Brazil, football fans around the world. But on the other hand, you really have had to play the role of enforcer. You have gone to Brazil and you have been straight with them and said, you need to speed up this process. I mean, privately, you must be really concerned that they haven't got things already done.
Yeah, but I have to say that I would say that the support we are getting, and mainly I would say from the Ministry of Sport, Aldo Rebelo, and his deputy, Luis Fernandez, it's a very important one for me. It means that you are not the only one crying, you are not the only one saying, I mean, there is a need now to make sure that things are ready on time for the World Cup. There is a full support even from the president of the country, Dilma Rousseff. I mean, she is there supporting, going to all the inauguration of the stadiums, showing that she is there, she's supporting the World Cup, and she's the first one saying, what a great opportunity we have, Brazil, to host the World Cup, to organize the World Cup for our country. So it is again a teamwork, as football is a team game. I mean, it is a teamwork. But yes, I mean, definitely we need to make sure that all is ready. And I can confirm, and I can say right in your eyes, that all will be there to make sure that the World Cup will be a success.
And to confirm, there is no plan B. It has to be ready for your needs.
Exactly. There is no plan B. And you are not working on a plan B. As soon as you give to a country, or a country is elected, it was by the FIFA Exco in the past, it will be by the FIFA Congress in the future. As soon as a country is elected to host the World Cup, I mean, this country takes a responsibility and has to ensure that it will deliver what is signed for, I mean, to organize the World Cup. And it's excepted if you have a reason for war, excepted if you have a reason for health, there is no reason to remove a World Cup from a country.
Now, are the Brazilian people totally committed to this World Cup now? Is it going to be a happy World Cup? Is it going to be a safe World Cup? Because there were big problems at the Confederations Cup last year, and I know they weren't just about football, but that was a big issue for FIFA.
if such demonstration would happen, Brazil has put in place all the infrastructure, the security, the police system to make sure that we can organize the World Cup even people want to demonstrate in the street. I don't know what will happen next June and July. What I know is that it will not be a surprise if it's happening, and the way to react, the way to control, the way to maintain a situation under control will be there, because everyone has worked since last June to make sure that it will be under control.
Will the Brazilian people, will the Brazilian public benefit from this World Cup being in their country?
FIFA will inject in the country 800 million US, because that's what the cost of a World Cup for FIFA. I'm not talking about the next World Cups, I'm just talking about this World Cup in Brazil, is around 1.3, 1.4 billion. And 800 million will be directly spent in the country. But that's, I would say, nothing if you compare to what the country has spent to redo a number of infrastructure, to redo the stadiums, etc. The second benefit in terms of economy is how the Brazilian football will benefit from the World Cup, because they will have new stadiums, and you have seen that the first result is a bigger attendance in the stadium than it was in the past. The people, they are coming more to these new stadiums than they were coming to the old ones, and it's really a big number. It's also a number of infrastructure which give to Brazilian football more, let's say, benefit, more way to play a better football, and just will increase the value of football, if it can be in Brazil.
To say that Brazilian people are obsessed and defined by football feels like a cliche, but when the tournament starts, they will be absolutely desperate to win the tournament for the first time on home soil, to lay the ghosts of 1950 and what they felt was a tragedy when they were beaten in the final by Uruguay, when they'd never won the World Cup before. Do you feel they will get behind it, embrace it, and that this will end up being the best World Cup ever?
That's difficult to say before the World Cup is starting, but that's the goal of all of us, not only Brazil, but all of us. That Brazil wants to win the World Cup, no question. It's clear, as you say, 1950, it's a ghost, and that should disappear. And it will happen again at the Maracanã, even if it's the new Maracanã, so it's clear that it's a very important time. But what we should never forget, and the picture I have of the Confederations Cup, it's not about the demonstration, it's about the support from the Brazilian teams, from the Brazilian fans to the Tahiti team. And you remember this game at the Maracanã Stadium, playing Spain and Tahiti, and it was just amazing, it was just unique. And that's why I'm saying...
This is the Confederations Cup.
Confederations Cup. I'm saying that, yes, they will support Brazil, but as you say, they are so football maniac that they will support football on its own. They will just support football wherever football is played. In all the stadiums, from Manaus to Porto Alegre, they will be there supporting football, supporting the 32 teams or the 31 teams plus Brazil.
I know that FIFA accepts that you shouldn't have awarded 2 World Cups simultaneously, and therefore you have had a host of problems with 2018 and 2022 particularly, Russia and Qatar. To start with Russia, you must have watched events unfolding recently around the Olympics in Sochi, and then the posturing between East and West over Ukraine and Crimea, and been concerned about how politics comes into football, and that you guys have got a major world event there coming up in the year 2018.
We should just make sure that we can explain to the world and we can tell the world what are the limits of what FIFA can do.
But can a country, a host country, ever cross a line for you because of turbulence in the country and other reasons that would have the executive committee considering taking a tournament away?
To take the tournament away, I mean, it has to be a real crisis which put at risk the organization of the World Cup, which put at risk the safety in the country, which put at risk the fact that you bring people in a country and their safety is not ensured. I don't think that FIFA can end. FIFA is not a United Nations, even we have more members with 209 members, but FIFA is not a United Nations. FIFA is about sports, it's about football, as the Olympic Committee is about football. And there again, that's where we have to be very careful. We are not there to discuss with political authorities what they should do and what they should not do. We can discuss with them and again be the platform for them to meet to exchange, and to make sure that we are using football as a change, as a tool for a change. And that's what we are doing. We are using football to try to to make the life of people a bit better, to create some programs, social programs, to create educational programs. But we cannot tell a country what should be their foreign policy. That's not our role. And that's where it's, I would say, a bit unfair if we have the pressure from the rest of the world to say, hey, FIFA, that's what's happening in this country, and you have to change the way the country behaves. We can tell the country it goes against FIFA's rules, it goes against FIFA's ethics code, it goes against FIFA's principle. And we can try to, again, help and change, but we cannot be seen as responsible for what's happening in the different countries.
With Qatar 2022, my goodness, there's been so much talk around the world, so much for you to have to deal with. A question I'm constantly asked that I haven't got an answer to: why did FIFA not consider immediately saying that the World Cup in 2022 may be moved from summer to winter, because that just makes simple scientific sense?
That's a good question. It was clear from the first minute that the technical report which was provided to all the members talked, or there was a paragraph on the heat and the weather conditions in Qatar if the World Cup would be played in the normal dates, June, July. Clearly, you remember that few days after the decision, some of the people who have been part of the decision said this World Cup cannot be played in summer, and we have to think about playing this World Cup in winter. And FIFA has to make a decision, and I hope that this decision will be around March 2015 at the latest, that we can stop talking about Qatar with these kind of questions. We should talk about Qatar with let's organize the World Cup of in Qatar. Let's make sure that what we do in Qatar with Qatar makes sense, and how to make sure that Qatar is not only welcoming the world, but Qatar goes to the world and try to find a number of programs to make sure that people will say and will not ask any questions why FIFA gave the World Cup to Qatar.
But we're having to go through due process, aren't we? Because you know it's going to switch to winter. I know it's going to switch to winter. So are people like the Premier League in England happy with that, really, with your consultation period? Have they been understanding in any way about that?
I don't think that I will, and FIFA will face, and the issue of Qatar 2022 being moved from summer to winter, I don't think that the issue will come from the FA Premier League. I think that they understand, and I think that we will find a solution. I'm sure that, again, we are talking about a season. We are talking about moving a bit before the beginning of the seasons, moving a bit later, the end of the season, trying to accommodate different dates between the European dates with the Champions League, the Europa League, trying to accommodate some international dates. It has an impact on some other international continental tournaments. So I'm sure that we can find a way to say, yes, there was a decision which was made to award the Qatar with the World Cup 2022. And it is clear that this World Cup cannot be played in a period of time where it's not optimal. And the best period would be to play in the winter, again, when that's to be discussed. I'm sure that we are enough flexible in the world, and there is a kind of understanding that it will happen without so much discussion. I really hope so.
But it's Western Europe, and in a way the media, that have the loudest voice. Does it frustrate you at times that the noise is coming from Western Europe? You can't play it there, you can't play it at that time, actually drown out the rest of the world?
Look, that's always the case, because there's maybe a feeling that football is Western Europe. Football is played in Europe. It's the best players in the world. It's the best tournament with the Champions League. It's the best leagues with the FA Premier League. You have most of the players coming from South America, from Africa. All the best talents of the world are playing in Europe. And that's why maybe the feeling is whatever is happening in the world of football should be should be with the approval of Western Europe. Sorry, but it's wrong. The FIFA is 209 member association, 54 from Europe, and the rest from the rest of the world. You have high football being played now in Asia, and not only in Korea and Japan, but you have a development of football everywhere in Asia and in the Middle East. You have a development of football in South America, because also there is a stronger economy in South America, so you have a very strong football being played in Brazil, and a number of Brazilian football players are not anymore moving as the first dream to Europe. They stay in their home country to play football in South America. So football is universal. Football is not just played in one continent.
Much as you'd like to concentrate on football matters, FIFA constantly has to get involved in important political matters, and you have not so much sought as demanded assurances from the government of Qatar about construction workers. Where have we got to with that? Are you satisfied with progress or not?
There's still a lot to do, and there's still a number of discussions to happen between the different parties. But we have to recognize that things have moved. And it's not finished, and it's not what people are expecting. People are always expecting more, and I'm sure that Qatar can do more. But at least that there was not a position from Qatar to say, sorry, it's our sovereignty, and there is nothing you can say, and we do as we wish to do, and that's it. Again, you have also to involve all the people who have an interest, and there are a number of construction companies who are working in Qatar and who are so happy about all these amazing building projects, making a lot of money, where they have to also to take the responsibility to treat their workers, to treat the people they employed to do all this business in a different way. So at the table is not just Qatar, FIFA and the unions. They are also the ones who have the main interest employing all these workers to be part of it and to recognize that a number of things have to be changed. But what I want to say that we are moving on the right way. It's not something, I'm not saying that it will change in 6 months' time, because that's not the case. It takes time. These kind of things, you need time. But we are talking about a long period. What we have to do is to ensure that there will be no more death, that you will have, you have a level of safety and security for the people who are working there, which is the best, because we cannot afford FIFA to be accused that every time there will be an accident that we are responsible for this accident.
That there was a problem with workers' rights in Qatar became very clear. What's not so clear is when people accuse Qatar, and indeed Russia and others, of using bribery to obtain a World Cup. I mean, you yourself have been caught up in that controversy with an email that suggested that Qatar might have bought the World Cup. But there isn't any proof.
So that's I can talk about what I've done. I cannot talk about what the ethics committee. You know that there is an investigation which is under the responsibility of Michael Garcia. Michael Garcia is asking and hearing a number of people who have been involved in the different time of this bidding process. We are waiting. I think he will come out with his investigation and the result of his investigation, which will be then given to Eckert, who is the judge of the ethics committee, for a final decision. So we have to wait for. What I know is that we have run a bidding process perfectly. The decision is the decision, but all the bidding process, all the way we have made sure that the different countries, they will fulfill their requirements, they will fulfill all the cahier des charges FIFA gave to the different countries who were part of the race of the bidding process. All of this was monitored by FIFA, and I have no doubt that we have done a good job. So now it's with the ethics committee. The ethics committee has to finalize their report, and then we'll see the result.
I know it's a busy era. Are we in a new era for FIFA? Because actually what you're still having to deal with is some of the problems created in the past when the organisation at times seemed riddled with corruption. If there's an executive committee with 24 men on it and around half are either found guilty or accused of corruption, that is such a high number. That is not good for FIFA's reputation, quite disastrous. How has FIFA been able to recover from those years of corruption?
Firstly, I think it's a bit hard to say and to talk about years of corruption. there should be a look at what they have done. So few have done things, others have done other things, etc. I think that FIFA react quite strongly by making sure that whomever was not within what we think is the ethics, these people left FIFA, and there is yes a new FIFA with a lot of new members. We have over the last 2 years worked with the IGC, with this independent governance committee, with various internal committees. We have been working on changing FIFA statutes, FIFA's rules, in order to ensure that we have a set of let's say tools which give us a way to ensure that corruption will not be anymore within FIFA. It's not easy. At the end, you have so many people working. I cannot tell you, I'm not talking about administration, I'm talking about people around the world in football. I'm not telling you that there will be no more corruption in football. That would be impossible for me to say. What I know is that within FIFA, with this new ethics committee, with this audit and compliance committee, with the different system we have in place, yes, I mean, I think we have a way to monitor how FIFA is working, how the people around FIFA are working, how member associations are working, to ensure that we are there to avoid corruption, we are there to avoid a misuse of FIFA's funds and a misuse of FIFA's potential. So again, I think that we have done a lot of work. Again, as we said at the beginning, it will never be enough, and you will have always people who will complain, and some people will say, oh, but you need to do this and you need to do that. I think that in 2 years we have done more than any other international federations in the world, that we are, in terms of ethics, control, compliance, at the highest level when you look around to any other international federation.
And Sepp Blatter held on to the presidency. He's very popular in FIFA and with the national associations, but there's a lot of criticism from people around the globe that he held on to the presidency, and now it looks like he's going for another period. He'd be favourite to continue, probably up until the age of, will it be 83? Is it right that he's president now? Is it right that he remains president? And when is he going to say, yes, I stand for the presidency again?
Ask Blatter. What I can tell you is that whatever people are saying, if there is one person who is dedicated at 100% to FIFA, to football, to protect our game, to protect our institution, to make sure that he's thinking worldwide when a number of people are just thinking continents or country or national, it's Blatter.
Now there is a question mark about Michel Platini's potential to be FIFA president. Jeffrey Webb is a vice president that's making good progress, and a lot of people talk about him having a very bright future at FIFA. You yourself maybe one day would have an eye on the presidency. How do you think it will go in the future, and do you have that ambition to be in the top job in the future?
For the time being, my ambition is to succeed with the organization of the World Cup. My ambition is that I am the Secretary General of Sepp Blatter, and I will support Sepp Blatter, and I will be behind him all the time. And whomever wants to become a FIFA president, good luck. But I don't think that it's the right time. There will be a time after the World Cup where we will be on the way to the Congress 2015, which is an elective Congress for the next FIFA mandate, presidency mandate. But again, I'm sure that a number of people would love to become the FIFA president. It's an amazing position. It's being not an head of state, because again, we are not doing any politics, but football is such strong sport around the world, has so much potential, is again used as a platform for so many changes and so many things around the world, that a number of people, they dream to become the FIFA president. But there is only one FIFA president. There are 209 member associations. They have to support you to become the FIFA president. And I think that, again, the FIFA president has to be someone with open mind, someone with a universal man who understands what the world means. And for the time being, it's true that Blatter has well succeeded.
Thank you, Mr. Valcke, for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much.